Hey, it's Eran here. In this tech tutorial, I'm going to explain to you from A to Z everything you need to know about automation rules and how they work in System IO. Now, this particular feature is actually going to require a number of videos for me to really explain in detail. Now, this particular tutorial, we're going to focus specifically on automation rules in how they relate and function when setting up a checkout page, also known as an order form. I'm going to share my screen and show you the 4 categories that are available for setting up automation rules. And from there, I'm going to show you every type of automation rule you could set up to those 4 categories, how they work, how to use it, when to use it. I'll give you specific use cases, and you'll be able to kind of learn a little bit about it and obviously take notes to see which one of these use cases is applicable to you. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and explain it all to you right now. So we are going to look at different categories. When you are under automation rules and you say that this is order form, you're going to click on add rule and you will see 4 different categories. New sale, i.e. when somebody makes a purchase, you want to have certain actions happen. And I'll show you what the different actions are. So when you click yes, and you click see this, you see add action and you'll see all of these options. You can subscribe them to an email campaign, unsubscribe, add a tag, remove a tag, send email, send an email to a specific address, enroll in a course, send webhook, and grant access to a community. I'll explain what each of these means and when to use them. But first of all, it is extremely important to understand that there are different rules. So we're going to focus to start with on the new sale. So when somebody makes a purchase, what do you want to have happen? Now, when you click on add action, if somebody buys something from you and you want to subscribe them to a campaign, this typically means you are subscribing them to a sequence of emails: email 1, email 2, email 3, email 4, email 5, and so on. The reason you would typically do something like that after somebody makes a purchase is because you want to subscribe them to some sort of an onboarding sequence. So if it's part of, let's say, an 8 weeks coaching program, that maybe every week you have some task you want them to do. So you would create an email sequence, and the email sequence will be created under emails and in campaigns. And you will create that. So weekly, you send some sort of an email to check in on the customer for their coaching program and so on. This is when you would use a campaign. Also, you would do that if you have more than one email you want to send that customer. So even if it's not an email sequence for onboarding for a long period of time, maybe it's just, say, 2 or 3 different emails, you would still create a campaign to send to that customer after they make a purchase, basically. Okay, so if you feel you want to give them their onboarding over more than one email, then you would subscribe them to a campaign and then create the campaign. If you just want to send them one email and one email only, you will use this one, which is send email. So you just got to think about, are you just want to send one email or multiple emails? Multiple is this one email is this one. Okay, so that's the difference. These are the first 2 types of automation rules, and these are honestly the most common ones. I usually do send email, so I'll show you how to do that as well, and that will be at the very end of this. Next is unsubscribe from campaign. Now, why would you want to unsubscribe after somebody makes a purchase? I'm going to give you a very specific example. When you click on unsubscribe from campaign, I have in one of my emails a cart abandonment email sequence set up. Now, this cart abandonment email sequence basically is a follow-up email sequence that I have when somebody subscribes but doesn't buy from me on this particular funnel. So I subscribe them to this campaign. So I want them to basically buy from me. And I want this campaign to stop as soon as they buy. So I will use the unsubscribe from campaign. That is a very good use case for when you would use that. Okay, so that's when you would typically use it, is if you have a cart abandonment email sequence, you would use this. Now, if you're in my templates and guides membership, I have a whole tutorial and checklist on setting up a cart abandonment sequence. And also I have the actual email sequence I use in my paid advertising, which is what you just saw. So that's the use case for that. Adding a tag. When you want to add a tag, this is important when somebody buys from you because you want to classify them in some way, like they are a buyer. Now, typically, I actually don't use this so much. And the reason I don't use this so much is because typically under step configuration, I usually add the tag right here. So this is where I use the tag if they make a purchase. I simply put it right here. But you can do it in either location, it really doesn't matter. You will just put it either here or in the other one. The main difference is that if you put it under resources right here, it means that if, let's say, the person stops a subscription and cancels or gets a refund on a purchase, these resources will automatically be revoked, whereas the automation rules will not be automatically revoked. So that's why the enroll in a course or grant access to a community or adding a tag, one, two, or three, for the order form, you actually want to use the step configuration to add the resources, as opposed to, you see here, if you click here, you'll see that you can add them to a community. That is the reason why you don't really want to use the automation rules for these things under the make a sale. Okay, so for add a tag, enroll in a course, or grant access to a community, I recommend on the order form you don't use it under automation rules, use it under step configuration, under resources. Next, remove a tag. So you want to set up removing a tag if, let's say, you have somebody tagged as cart abandonment, as an example. Then you want to remove the specific tag of the fact that they abandoned the cart because you don't want to label them anymore that way, because that's not true. So you want to remove the tag, and that's a good use case of when you would use the automation rule. So once they buy, you remove the tag. Another use case is if they buy something from you and you have a tag that is some sort of a lead, that they are only a email subscriber, they're not a buyer, then again, you would remove the tag because it's no longer the case. They are now officially a buyer. So this is a good way if you want to segment between buyers and leads. The next one is send email to a specific email address. This is really good use case if you are actually sending a email to somebody in your audience that on your team, for example. So in my case, I'll show you this example. This particular email, GA4 done with you session with first name. So GA stands for Google Analytics done with you session. So I have a tech support member in my tech team, and I want to notify them when somebody buys a one-on-one session with them. So when somebody buys from me a one-on-one session to get their Google Analytics set up, I want to notify my VA team. So I will use this particular email that I set up. Okay. Another example is in my tech support membership, I actually have a team member that does onboarding calls one-on-one, and I want her to be notified when somebody buys from me my tech support membership. So I send her that email so then she knows to follow up with them to then do the onboarding call, basically. I also have other automations where I send them a direct email to the customer to book the one-on-one call, but I also want to notify my team member. That is a good use case for that. Use case for this is if you want to get notified of a purchase. Now, typically, you actually get notified on purchases anyway, but when you get notified on a purchase, it doesn't tell you who they are. So if you want to know who they are as well, without having to log in, you would set this up. I typically recommend you do notify yourself when a purchase is made because it's just cool to know and hear about it. So that's why I have this type of notification, cha-ching, that I know somebody actually bought, basically. Okay. The last use case is way more advanced, and I don't want to get too complicated about it. I could do a separate tutorial on this, and that is to send a webhook. So what a webhook is basically is that I'm basically telling another software that somebody bought something. So in this case, what I use is I actually use Public Connect to be able to connect between different tools. So basically, I get a webhook from another software, which is just some URL. I put it here and I save so that when somebody buys from systeme.io, this information on the purchase goes to the other software as well. Now, if you want me to do a tutorial on setting up a webhook and connecting with Public Connect, leave a comment with the word public and I will do a tutorial on Public Connect and how that works with webhooks. Okay, so just comment public and I will make sure I do a tutorial. So that's a totally different thing. It's a little bit advanced. I don't want to spend too much time on that, but that's just another option. So these are the type of options that you can do automation rules with order forms. So what I would recommend as a minimum is you definitely want to send an email to the contact typically. Although if you are enrolling them in a course under resources, note that they're going to get an email anyway. And somewhere around here, you're going to see a tutorial about how to send login information when somebody makes a purchase. So that's all for category number 1, which is a new sale and the different automation rules for a new sale. Now, with the new sale or the automation rules, you can also edit the automation rule and you'll see all the different actions here. I don't have anything right now. And also you can disable the rule if you want to just pause it and not actually have it live, and you can also delete it as well. So I'm going to now go over the sale canceled automation rule. So let me show you how that works. So again, you click on add rule. You see there's 4 different options. You will click on sale canceled. And then when you click into it, you will be able to add action and you'll see all the different options. One of the main reasons I don't want you to enroll people in a course when somebody buys is because you'll notice there is no action to unenroll them from a course or a bundle or remove them from a community. Now, this might change over time, right? I'm recording this video at the time when these are the available actions. That could change, but for right now, that's what you have, which means that if somebody got access to the community or to a course through automation rules, but not through the resources section, when they cancel or they refund, that community or that course they still have access to, and you'll have to manually remove them. So that's why you don't do that. Now, with the cancellation, when is the use case you would do it? So again, you don't need to worry about removing tag because you add them under resources. You don't need to worry about the course because that's not even possible. You don't have to worry about community because that's not possible. So when do you use it? So there are a couple of really good use cases. Number 1 is sending an email to the contact. And this is something that I do with my membership. And this is something that is called an offboarding funnel. What I do is I have an email template that I automatically send to someone when they cancel my membership with me. And it's basically a thank you email. I send them a really kind email that basically says, thank you so much for joining my membership in the first place. I noticed you canceled. Totally cool. I just wanted to thank you for even giving it a try and being part of it for the time that you were in it. As a courtesy, as a thank you, I would like to give you XYZ bonus, just as a thank you for taking the chance on my membership. And then based on that, I can also maybe ask for feedback, get into a dialogue. And I've actually had people return to their membership because they got such a nice email. So this is a reason why you would use sending an email when you have a cancellation of sorts. Next thing is if you have added them to an onboarding sequence, then you want to, of course, remove them from the onboarding sequence if they are canceled. So that's when you would use the unsubscribe campaign. Another use case is, again, notifying your team. Somebody in your membership canceled, you want to notify your team to no longer serve them. That's when you would use this as well. That's what I have set up. And another thing you could do is you can subscribe them to a campaign, and that campaign will be some sort of a follow-up or an onboarding or offboarding campaign where you do exactly what I told you about sending an email, but instead you would do a sequence of emails. So for email number 1 will be a thank you. Email number 2, a week later, hey, by the way, could you give me feedback? Could you give me a review on Trustpilot or whatever? Different things along these lines you could do. And webhook, like I explained, you just want to send a notification somewhere to basically let another software know that that person canceled. So that's the use case. And again, if you want me to do a tutorial on this, just leave a comment with the word public. So those are different use cases for a sale. The next category we're going to look at is page visited. Now, this one is not very common for order form, but there is a specific use case. So page visit means that when somebody visited this page, you want to get a certain action taken to trigger some automation with that person. Now, this will only actually happen if somebody is already on your email list, and you're going to grab this link, you're going to copy this, and you can put it in your email. And when somebody from your email list clicks on the email, then they're going to end up on the order form, and then you can trigger an automation immediately. Now, you can trigger the exact same automations. Now, what will be the use case for something like that? let's just say that you want to follow up with this person. Then what you can do is you can actually send an email or send an email to the person to say, hey, thanks for clicking the link. Notice you clicked it. Please let me know if you've got any questions, as an example, right? Another example, you can subscribe them to a campaign automatically, like a cart abandonment option. And the cart abandonment is going to only trigger 1 hour later, basically. So if they are going to not buy from you, then this cart abandonment is going to automatically trigger. And of course, make sure that when you have the automation rule of sale canceled, when a new sale is made, you got to make sure they unsubscribed from that cart abandonment as well. So let me give you a real example. When somebody buys, you want to unsubscribe them from the cart abandonment. You're going to save the rule. When a page is visited, add action, you want to subscribe them cart abandonment. Reason you want to do that is because when they visited the page, they came to this order form. From clicking the link in your email, you automatically subscribe them to the cart abandonment. And you don't want to keep emailing them the cart abandonment email sequence once they buy. So that's why you would remove them. Okay, so this is a really good use case. Let's go back to the page visited. Another example is send email to a specific address. So if you want to notify your VA team to follow up or your sales team to follow up, again, you would do something like that. And webhook, again, you could do something like notification to a webhook so you can send it publicly. Now, another example is giving them an enroll in a course. Here is an example where you could use this. You can say in your email, hey, it's Eran here. Just wanted to let you know that I just opened up the membership for XYZ. And if you just click the link, go check it out, I'm going to give you a free bonus even if you don't buy anything. All I'm going to ask you to do is check out the order form. And then you can enroll them in a course based on the page visited. So this is a really good use case by simply giving people access to a specific course purely as a thank you for actually checking out your order forms. This is just a way to increase conversions or increase click-through rates from your email. So that's another really good use case for page visited, okay? So there you go. These are some good use cases on how you could use this. This particular page view is way more applicable also for other type of things in your email marketing where you want to do one-click unsubscribe and things like that. I have a different tutorial on that and I have a different template on that. If you're in my membership, check out my partial opt-out template. And if you are not in my membership, I actually have a tutorial on that somewhere around here, which is everything you need to know about email marketing from A to Z. That's when you would use the page visited type option. Basically, this page visited, that's when you would use it. Okay. And now we're going to get to the last one, which is funnel step subscribe. When will you use this? This is really simple. You would typically use this when you are setting up a cart abandonment option. So you're going to set up what's called a two-step order bump or order form, two-step order form. And you're going to generate or you're going to subscribe them to a cart abandonment email sequence. So that's when you would use this. You would add a tag that they are abandoned cart. You would subscribe them to abandoned cart. And then you would remove them once they buy as well. Again, if you want to see how I do this exactly, I have a tutorial on order bumps somewhere around here where I explain what is a one-step checkout, two-step checkout, and a cart abandonment email sequence. All of that is explained over there. That is the specific use case for the funnel step for subscribed of an order form. So there you go. That's the use cases you've got for the automation rules for order forms. I know this is a lot to take in. I know this can be a little bit overwhelming for some people. If this is challenging for you, overwhelming for you, don't worry about it. I know it can be complicated and so on. So I totally get it. I do have a really, really detailed checklist that you can actually check out on how to set up an order form, and I go over step by step how to configure everything you need to know about order forms as well. So you can download this checklist and you can check it out. Thanks a lot for watching. If you got value from this tutorial, leave a comment below with the word value. You're going to also see additional tutorials that I am recording to explain the automation rules for a downsell, an upsell, a squeeze page, a sales page, an opt-in thank you page, and so on. So if that's of interest to you, just leave a comment below with the word automation rules, and I will make sure I record additional tutorials to explain the nuances of those other ones and the different use cases of the categories and the automation rules, because they are slightly different than what you have for order forms. Order form is probably the most extensive one, and I wanted to record that one first. But if you want the other ones, just leave a comment to the word automation rules. Lastly, if you want to download my free checklist for how to set up an order form and automation rules and all that, and basically how to sell on systeme.io step by step, all of that is available if you go to eran.link/order form. So that's about it. Thanks a lot for watching. Really appreciate you, and I'll speak to you soon.